Some of these systems can quietly wreck your engine or transmission, sometimes triggering $3,000 to $7,000 repairs with almost no warning. So how does a car fail without actually failing? Here are the 10 hidden Volkswagen systems that silently shave years off engine and transmission life if you don't know how they actually work. Number 10, aggressive start-stop strategy. Let's start with something most VW owners barely notice: the start-stop system. Now, VW's version is a bit aggressive, especially on those MQB-based cars with small turbo engines. Unlike older cars, VW will shut off the engine before it's fully warmed up, and it does this a lot during short city trips. Every time it restarts, it puts extra stress on things like the starter motor, the flywheel, and even the main bearings when oil pressure is still low. Modern starters are built tougher, sure, but independent shops report more starter and battery failures between 70,000 and 120,000 miles if you're doing a lot of stop-and-go driving. Replacing the starter can run you $700 to $1,200, and if you need a new AGM battery plus coating, that's another $350 to $600. But, well, every single restart adds tiny wear to the engine. The oil film isn't fully built yet, so the engine runs for a few seconds in what's called boundary lubrication. VW engines are designed to handle this, but handle doesn't mean harmless. This system is really about emissions, not longevity. And knowing that can save you a lot of surprises down the road. Smooth, intrigued, and that's just the engine side. Now let's talk about something that takes heat. Personally, the transmission. Number 9, dry clutch, DSG, DQ200, heat load. Dry clutches mean there's no oil cooling for the clutch packs. Sounds efficient, it saves weight, and improves fuel economy. But it also creates a heat trap. In city traffic, during hill starts, or when you're just creeping along, the clutch slips slightly to keep things smooth. That's normal, until it generates too much heat with nowhere to go. Once the clutch gets too hot, bad things happen fast. The friction material starts glazing, engagement feels rough and jerky, tiny slips add up and wear skyrockets. Specialists see these clutches wearing out anywhere from 60,000 to 100,000 miles in city cars. Highway-driven cars last over 150,000 miles, and it all depends on how you drive. Replacement isn't cheap. A clutch pack costs around $2,500 to $4,000, and if the mechatronic gets heat damage too, add $1,800 to $3,000 more. This DSG isn't bad, it's just extremely sensitive to how you drive, something VW almost never tells you. And now here's where things get really sneak, because this next one doesn't fail anything directly. Number 8, long oil change intervals. Factory schedules often tell you 10,000 miles, sometimes even 15,000 kilometers between changes. Sounds convenient? Of course. Well, those intervals are designed for emissions compliance and fleet efficiency, not to make your turbo last. Modern VW engines are no joke. We're talking high piston temperatures, turbochargers running over 900 degrees Celsius at the exhaust, and fuel dilution from direct injection. All of this cooks your oil faster than you'd think. Independent oil analysis shows viscosity breakdown and fuel contamination as early as 6,000 to 7,000 miles on EA888 engines in everyday mixed driving. And the consequences hit the parts you care about most. Turbo bearings start wearing, timing chain tensioners get stressed, PCV valves get gummed up. Your engine doesn't explode at 10,000 miles. It fails quietly. Later, maybe around 120,000 miles instead of 200,000. That's a lot of life lost just because of oil. For the fix, you need to shorten those oil intervals to 5,000 to 6,000 miles. It's a small change, but it can dramatically extend engine life, especially on turbocharged VW engines. And once oil health starts slipping, cooling suddenly matters a whole lot more. Number 7, electronic thermostat and MAP-controlled cooling. These aren't your old-school thermostats that just open or close. Nope. They're electronically controlled and linked to engine load maps. The idea is clever. Run the engine hot under light load to cut emissions, then cool aggressively when the turbo kicks in. Smart until it starts acting up. Failures aren't obvious. When the thermostat misbehaves, it might stick partially open, show the wrong temperature, or cause overcooling and thermal cycling. But why does that matter? Because thermal cycling quietly wreaks havoc. Head gaskets can start to fatigue, plastic coolant flanges can crack, and cylinder heads can warp over time. And repairing it isn't cheap. A thermostat assembly runs $400 to $800, and diagnostic labor can be even higher because of the electronics involved. These systems are brilliant when they're new, precise, efficient, and tuned for performance. But as they age, they become surprisingly fragile. Ignoring them can sneakily shave years off your engine's life without you ever noticing, until it's too late. Cooling problems don't usually show up alone. They start affecting pressure inside the engine too. Number 6, PCV system, over-engineering. Now this isn't just a simple little valve, like in older cars. Nope. VW went all out. It's a pressure-regulated diaphragm-based system with oil separation stages. But when it fails, usually because the diaphragm tears or the valve sticks, crankcase pressure starts to rise. And where does that pressure go? Straight past your rear main seal, your valve cover gasket, and even your turbo oil seals. And if the rear main seal goes, the transmission has to come out to fix it. That repair is anywhere from $1,800 to $3,000. And the crazy part is that the PCV unit itself costs less than $200. That tiny, inexpensive part is protecting some of the most expensive seals in the engine. These failures usually show up between 80,000 and 120,000 miles, and they're even more common on engines that see long oil intervals. And when oil pressure isn't perfect, there's one component that really doesn't forgive you. Number 5, timing chain stretch on EA888. Early versions of this engine used undersized chains and tensioners, and even the updated ones still depend heavily on clean oil and proper oil pressure to stay healthy. Chain stretch happens slowly, usually without making any noise. By the time you notice something, the damage is already starting. Common signs show up late: rattle on cold starts, cam correlation faults on the dash, or a rough idle that you might just shrug off. The failure window? Early engines see this between 70,000 and 110,000 miles, but even later, revisions can suffer if maintenance slips. And if the chain ever jumps a tooth, that's valve to piston contact, which usually means engine rebuild or total replacement. Preventative replacement isn't cheap, but it's worth it. $1,500 to $2,500. Let it fail, and you're looking at a whopping $6,000 to $9,000 repair. This isn't a fixed design problem, it's all about maintenance. And hey, a quick one, don't just sit there watching engines silently age. Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so we can save your wallet together in the next video. Number 4, high pressure fuel pump cam follower, FSI. These engines use a mechanical cam-driven fuel pump, and a tiny little part called the cam follower takes the load from the camshaft. Sounds small and harmless? Well, if that follower wears out, metal starts rubbing directly on the camshaft, and once that happens, things get messy fast. You're looking at camshaft damage, metal debris circulating in the oil, and fuel pressure loss, which can cause all sorts of drivability issues. This wear typically shows up between 60,000 and 90,000 miles. And the costs? The follower itself is cheap, $50 to $100. But if it damages the camshaft, you're staring at $1,500 to $3,000 for repairs. The real danger is neglect. Ignoring it or assuming it'll last forever is exactly what turns a tiny, cheap component into a major wallet-busting problem. Check it replace it when needed, and your engine will thank you for years. And now let's talk about heat, the kind that doesn't show up until it's already done damage. Number 3, turbo heat soak and oil cooking. This is a big one for turbocharged VW engines, the dreaded turbo heat, soak and oil cooking. These turbos get insanely hot, especially on the small engines running high boost. That's power, but also stress. Payoff. After a hard drive, if you shut the engine off immediately, the oil trapped in the turbo bearings can start to carbonize. Think of it like cooking the oil inside your turbo. The next thing you'll see is oil coking, which gums up the works, restricted oil flow, starving the bearings, and eventually premature turbo failure. Repeated hot shutdowns can drop turbo life dramatically, turning what should be a long-lasting component into a ticking time bomb. Replacing a turbo is literally $1,800 to $3,500. To avoid this, after a hard drive, let the engine idle for 30 to 60 seconds. That cool down period reduces bearing temperatures significantly, and your turbo will live longer. Sometimes a few seconds of patience saves thousands of dollars and keeps your VW running smoothly for years. Heat breaks parts, but neglect breaks systems. And this next one is all about that. Number 2, DSG fluid. Lifetime claims. The so-called lifetime DSG fluid. VW markets it as if you never have to change it. But that fluid isn't immortal. Over time it shears, the heat breaks down additives, and metal particles from the transmission accumulate. The mechatronic unit, the brain controlling your DSG's shifts, depends on clean, precise fluid to work properly. Dirty fluid equals sloppy shifts. Specialists recommend changing DSG fluid every 40,000 miles, even if VW says otherwise. Skip it, and you can run into harsh, jerky shifts, clutch slip, and full mechatronic failure, which isn't cheap. Replacing a mechatronic unit? You're looking at $2,000 to $4,000, depending on the model. And all of these problems have one thing in common. They're baked into how the engine is designed to run. Number 1, emissions. First, engine calibration. The biggest silent killer of VW engines isn't a part you can replace. It's how the engine is tuned. Modern VW engines are all about emissions first. They prioritize things like rapid warm-up to meet cold start regulations, high combustion temperatures for cleaner exhaust, lean fuel mixtures under light load. Sounds smart? Nay, all that clever tuning quietly increases valve deposits, thermal stress, and oil contamination. The engine doesn't explode, it doesn't warn you, it just ages faster. The crazy part, it survives the warranty period looking perfect. Then suddenly wear accelerates, and your engine isn't the same. Nothing technically fails, it just deteriorates silently. This is also why two identical VWs can age completely differently. One owner follows the manual, the other understands the machine. Only one of those cars is likely to hit 250,000 miles without major headaches. But what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And now that you understand how these systems really work, the next video shows which used VWs are worth trusting and which ones aren't.